Welcome to this impromptu Hearthstone classic stream. Once again, the Hearthstone streams are going to be pretty spontaneous, casual. What I'm planning to do today is to play some Miracle Rogue and also show off some changes I made to the Burn Mage deck that I played last time. So we will be playing games, trying to complete my quest so we can get more shiny golden cards, but also, of course, show games. Talk through my thought process in the games and talk about decks and some general thoughts on Classic that appear spontaneously. And if you don't know the game, you can check out the previous stream where I actually explain the rules in the first game that I play as I'm playing the game. But yeah, let's dive right into... actually, before we dive into a game, let's talk about this deck that we're going to play today. And also let me check that the stream is working. Yeah, it's all good. Okay, so we got... so this is obviously... not obviously to someone who's new, but this is not a deck that I came up with. This is a very standard way to play the Rogue class in the game. And it's a very powerful one. Basically, what you're trying to do is use this guy, Gadget Sand Auctioneer, only costs 5 mana, and says whenever you cast a spell, draw a card, and he's a 4/4. But the most important part of him is that whenever you cast a spell, you get to draw a card. And Rogue has a lot of cheap spells that you can play, like Backstab, deal 2 damage to an undamaged minion. So you could play this for free on the same turn that you play Gadget and Auctioneer, but get the card back. You can also play a card like Preparation that says the next spell you cast this turn costs 3 less. So you get the card back from the Preparation. Then you get to play another spell, probably for 0 as well. Well, in this deck it will be 0, because none of the spells actually cost more than 3. So you get to play another spell for free. You get a card back for that one as well. So you can see how Gadget Auctioneer allows you to draw a lot of cards for free. And this means you can see a lot of your deck. You can also get a lot of momentum and card advantage this way. And then you use that momentum to basically get enough damage on your opponent for a win. There are some very powerful combos in the deck. One very notable one is playing Leroy Jenkins, who has charge and gives your opponent 2 whelps when you play him. So usually you only want to play him when you can finish the game. What you can do with Leroy in this deck is you play Leroy, you attack their hero to deal 6 damage. Then you can play Shadow Step on Leroy, which is a card that returns a friendly minion to your hand and then makes it cost 2 less. So you return Leroy to your hand, he costs 2 less. Then you can play Leroy again for just 2 mana, deal 6 more damage, and if you have another Shadow Step, you can repeat this. So you can deal a lot of damage in one turn in this way. You can also combine this with Cold Blood, which is a spell that gives a minion more attack. And if it has combo, which means if you played another card this turn, it has a more powerful effect. So it says combo plus 4 attack to a minion. So you could play Leroy, then play this on Leroy to give him 4 more attack, then Shadow Step him, or whatever you want to do. You can deal a lot of damage in one turn. You also have ways to try to protect your Auctioneer. So you can play your Auctioneer and then you can play Conceal, for example, that give your minions stealth until your next turn. A stealth means that the minions cannot be targeted by spells or attacked unless they attack. If they attack, they lose stealth. But usually you can attack and then play this to give them stealth. Or you just play it on the same turn that you play the Auctioneer. So the rest of the cards in the deck are mainly ways to support this or make you stay alive long enough to do these kinds of combos. So you have Deadly Poison that just gives your weapon +1 attack. Your hero power as Rogue is you pay 2 mana to get a 1/2 dagger weapon. So you can basically upgrade your weapon with Deadly Poison to make it a 3-attack weapon. Makes it kill bigger minions. You can use your hero to attack minions with your weapon, and then you can get rid of 2 minions this way. And you also have Blade Flurry. That is a nice combination with Deadly Poison. So Blade Flurry destroys your weapon and deals its damage to all enemies. So there are situations where you can get up to maybe 5 attack on your... well, you can get up to maximum 5 attack on your weapon by playing 2 Deadly Poisons. You can play the Blade Flurry and clear the board. And sometimes you just need to have 3 attack on the weapon, it's good enough, or maybe 1 attack on the weapon is good enough in some situations. But we're playing 1 copy of Blade Flurry to combine with Deadly Poison, or just to clear the board in a situation where our opponent has a lot of small minions. Blood Mage Thalnos, of course, that we talked about in the last stream, just gives extra spell damage, which is great in combination with all the spells we're playing in this deck, like Backstab, and others that we will get to. Blade Flurry is one of them, of course. Eviscerate. One right here, another reason to have that we want spell damage. It's another card that has combo on it. So normally it just deals 2 damage to a minion, but if we have combo, we can deal 4 instead. So it's a lot of damage for just 2 mana. Of course, we can use this to, burst down the health on their hero or get rid of any minions that are in the way. Sap, that returns an enemy minion to its owner's hand, which can be really, really useful. Of course, we're losing a card without removing one of our opponent's cards from the game, but we're putting something back in their hand can often mean that they lose so much time that we just gain a lot of momentum. And again, if we have Auctioneer, then we would get the card back from Sap. And Sap can be really important in a lot of situations. For example, if we play against Druid, they have a card like... well, actually, let's see if we can find that card. That's not the right deck. This deck is playing this card, Ancient of War. When you play that, you can make it a 5 attack, 10 health minion with Taunt, which would prevent you from killing your opponent with Leroy. And then you can use, let's get back to that. You can use Sap to get the Taunt minion out of the way and then use Leroy like you want to. We also have Shiv, that just is a spell that deals 1 damage, gets us, lets us draw a card. So digs further into our deck, makes it more likely that we find our Auctioneer, and is a way to deal with threats our opponent puts on the board. We have Earther Ring Farseer that can restore 3 health and is also just a minion. This guy is, if we're desperate to get health back, which we will be in some matchups, we can combine this guy with Shadow Step to return him back to the hand, play him again, and heal ourselves. There's only 1 copy in the deck, though. Then we have Van Cleef, which is just a really powerful card that has combo that he gains +2/+2s for each card we played previously on the turn. So this guy can get extremely huge in some matchups, and if our opponent doesn't have single target removal or silence in their deck, then he becomes even crazier. But yeah, he's an extremely powerful card for the cost, so you're kind of forced to include him. There's Fan of Knife, a way to deal with a lot of minions. It deals 1 damage to all enemy minions, then we draw a card, so it's kind of like Shiv. And then we have SI7 Agent, which is just really good value for 3 mana. Has the combo ability to deal 2 damage. And the last card is Azure Drake, shown on the last stream as well. It's just a 5 mana minion, spell damage +1, which synergizes with all of our damage spells, and when we play it, we get to draw a card. So it just fits very well in the deck. So that's the entire Rogue deck. So let's jump into some games. And also, I guess for those that don't know this, basically in the game, you get these daily quests that if you complete them, you can get some experience that give you progress on a track, and whenever you get enough progress, you level up, and then you can get gold, and that's how you can buy packs. It's kind of how they get you to play over and over. Fortunately, I don't really have to do that. I have all the cards. I just play for fun, and yeah, the main thing that I can use the extra gold for is to as I gain more cards, I can convert them to dust, and then I can use that to upgrade my cards to the golden versions. All right, so yeah. Anyway, the Miracle Rogue deck is considered to be very strong. Last time I checked, at least, and it's something that you can expect to see a decent amount of when you play this game. So we're up against Mage, and normally if I'm up against a Mage, I assume that it's a freeze Mage. That's the thing that I most commonly see on when I play on Hearthstone just against random opponents. And that means that we, as the Miracle Rogue, yeah, I wonder actually what we want to go for there. Because Freeze Mage, they try to make it hard for us to kill them, but they won't be that aggressive. So I feel like we don't really need a card like Earthen Ring Farseer. Azure Drake could be nice, but maybe we don't need. Yeah, this is probably enough because I think we keep the Auctioneer because he's such an important card in the deck. Preparation is a good combination with the Auctioneer, so we want to keep that. Okay, Mirror Image turn 1 doesn't tell us that much actually. It could so this one summons 2 0/2 minions with taunt. This could still be any kind of mage, because Freeze Mage does play this game, this card sometimes. Now I'm heavily suspecting that it is a Freeze Mage, because another mage would probably have a card to play on turn 2.
Here we go.
So I'm just gonna use the hero power, get the dagger. My plan is to deal 1 damage to this turn, 1 damage to the other the next turn, and then we can play Fan of Knives to finish these off and clear the field for our later minions. Okay, so Acolyte of Pain, that is a very common card in Freeze Mage. He says whenever this minion takes damage, draw a card. So now we kind of don't want to play Fan of Knives, because then we're just helping our opponent to draw cards. So instead, I'm going to kill this one and just use the hero power. And I think I'm just gonna keep the rest of my cards for now. So typically, what the Freeze Mage can do with the Acolyte of Pain is use Fire Blast, your hero power, on him, and then you get a card. And you can get up to 3 cards from him in that way. And yeah, lets you find the cards that you need. So this is kind of frustrating because we do want to play Fan of Knives to find more useful cards, but we can't really. I feel like we'd rather see him spend 2 more mana to get a card from the Acolyte of Pain than us triggering that.
Here we go.
So I'll just attack this, get the dagger back, and I'm keeping the coin to use for when we play the Auctioneer, because the coin can give us a card in that situation. Actually, Azure Drake makes me wonder if it actually is the regular kind of... Like, it might actually not be Freeze Mage. Sometimes I played against mages that play Ice Block in order to be able to play Molten Giants. So Ice Block is the card that it's a secret that when you were going to take lethal damage, you become immune until the end of turn. Okay. We just play the Azure Drake. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, we have 10 cards. And it seems like we're not left with much choice here. Because our hand is so full. We're gonna have to use Fan of Knives anyway. But it's not all bad. Because we can at least clear the board. We can play the coin, Deadly Poison, and get rid of this Asia Drake. But if this is the kind of mage that... Well, actually most mages do that. They use burst damage to finish you off. We might want to be careful about when we use these shadow steps, because we might want to keep them for the Earthen Ring Farseer so that we can restore some health. Just place a mirror image. And Frost Nova. Okay. And Fire Blast on our hero. Yeah. So I think a decent play here would be Fan of Knives and then the SI7 agent. But I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, I could play the Auctioneer. I'm just worried about Flame Strike wiping our Auctioneer as soon as we play him. And there might be a better situation to play him. So I feel like I'm gonna try this. And after that, I think we'll keep the dagger for now, because that leaves the possibility for us to play Deadly Poison without having to use our hero power first. And we don't have to deal that damage right away. So we'll keep it for now. Yeah, so typical is playing Blizzard, freezing our minions. We do have another Auctioneer in hand. So losing one is not the end of the world. We could try to force a Flame Strike to be used here. Sap the hero. I think the best idea is just to pass. So if there's Flame Strike now, which deals 4 damage to all our minions, or there's Blizzard instead, we can... Oh, that's interesting. So we can play Auctioneer and Conceal. Of course, now we would have 2 Auctioneers, so maybe we're just drawing too many cards then. There's also the option to play Sap. So he played a Doomsayer, which destroys all the minions at the start of his turn.
So many options.
And we also have the healing now in the Farseer. So we kind of want to get rid of the Doomsayer somehow. The only way we can do it right now is with Sap. Which is not the greatest use of Sap. Well, I'm trying to think what else we could... If it is a Freeze Mage, I guess the best thing, apart from this guy, is maybe Antonidas? Oh, we're running out of time. So let's make a play, even if it isn't perfect. We play the Asia Drake. And we can play Conceal too. So if he wants to get rid of our stuff, it's gonna have to be it's gonna have to be with a Flame Strike. Also, it might be wise to save our healing until after he plays Alexstrasza. Oh, he's doing it this way. So Frostbolt for 3, then 4 more damage with Ice Lance. Okay, so now there's plenty of options. And I won't talk through all the lines because there's too many options. I'll just think about it and make a play. We need to kill this Doomsayer. So that's not ice barrier, so it's probably ice block.
Choose two.
Shadow Step the Farseer one time.
This guy's toast.
So yeah, I don't know if that was right, but this often happens with Miracle Rogue, is that you have a lot of options and you run out of time on your turn and you just have to make a move. And even worse if you're playing a card like Leroy Jenkins, because actually the effect on that card has some animations that take up time on your turn and you can't skip it. So you just have to play your cards within a certain time frame. Or you have like have to preemptively start playing your cards, even if you know exactly what you want to do. That's one of the really weird things in Hearthstone, is that you can be in a situation where you know exactly what you want to do, but actually playing the cards and having them finish their animations takes too much time, and your turn ends. So you want to be, especially on turns where you want to play Leroy Jenkins, you don't want to take too much time, because a lot of times you inadvertently just run out of options. Okay, so my plan this turn is to try to get him to 1 hit point, and also to heal ourselves. So we can do 4 damage with this, 4 damage with this, 3 damage with this. We can do 2 damage with this.
So many
Okay.
options.
Let's try Blade Flurry. Four damage. 2 damage. We can trigger the...
Almost out of
Lights
cards.
Oh, we're drawing too many cards. We can trigger the ice block. Then we want to heal ourselves. Get some more healing.
Out of cards.
Heal ourselves again. And I think we just tried to play Van Cleef. Okay, now I'm definitely making mistakes. Because I don't want to be drawing more cards when we're out of cards, because our fatigue means we die. Yeah, if that's another ice block, we could just lose to direct damage here. And yeah, because at some point I should have stopped drawing cards. Yeah, because now, if that's an ice block, which I assume it is, we just lose now. Yeah. So that was unnecessary, completely unnecessary. No reason to do that. So I don't know if I explained this last time, but if you run out of cards in your deck, yeah, I did actually. Yeah, never mind. You start taking damage when you're drawing cards from an empty deck. Well, you can't be drawing any cards, you just take damage. Yeah, so I'll just, I don't know, use my hero power, end my turn. And if he just uses Fire Blast on our hero, now it's game. Because we're going to take 3 damage when he passes the turn. Sometimes your opponent will think a lot regardless in those situations. So with Pyroblast, I guess we would have lost anyway, unfortunately. But still, we want to be making the right plays. But that's one of the hard. So Miracle Rogue has kind of a high skill ceiling because you can have so many branching options in one turn. So let's try one more game and see if we do better. And it can take some time to get into the groove. I was playing this deck a lot just some weeks back, but now it's been a while. And also, I'm talking while I'm playing. But that's probably one of the bad matchups. Well, I'm not sure actually, but if we don't deal enough damage early on, then he can sort of just play all his damage spells, and we can't get through. When there's an ice block, there's just he can just basically delay us for an entire turn. So in this case, he could play the second ice block to buy time for the Pyroblast, and that was enough, more than enough, actually. So we're up against Warlock, and I talked on the last stream about how the most common way to play Warlock is Zoo Warlock with a lot of minions. So then you want a lot of cards that deal with early aggression. So Shiv and Backstab are good for that. There is also a Warlock build called Handlock that's pretty
The pleasure is mine.
pretty popular as well. That is a slower build, more control focused. You build up a lot of cards in your hand by using the Warlock hero power, and then you can play cards like Mountain Giant that cost less when the more cards you have in your hand, and it's a big minion. And then you have Twilight Drake that gets more health based on the cards in your hand, and lots of other stuff. It kind of looks like it is a handlock, because a Zoo Warlock will almost always play a minion on their first turn. So I'm kind of assuming this has to be a handlock. Yeah, this is typical handlock stuff. So on your second turn, you just live tap for more cards. And we're sort of happy to wait along. But if they get a big minion on the board early, that can be a problem for us. So I'm just gonna Shiv to see another card, because we don't have any cards that we're eager to play this turn, and we'll just pass. So I'm keeping the dagger because if we get Deadly Poison later, we can make better use of the dagger. Right now, the only thing we can attack it is the hero. Actually, it can be a liability sometimes against Handlock to get them too low on life too early, because there's a card called Molten Giant. It's a minion that costs less the more damage your hero has. So it costs 20. So if you have 20 damage on your hero, you can play it for free. So if you're down on 10 health, you can play it for free. So you don't want to get them low on health too early when you're playing in this matchup. And okay, so now I actually have to think about this turn. So this is kind of unusual in Handlock. I wonder if this is some kind of homebrew. So you can get rid of the Shield Master with Backstab and then Deadly Poison on the weapon. Kill the Shield Master and heal ourselves. That could be a play. That seems okay. That seems fine. Means we have some board presence to give us some space to play this Azure Drake on the next turn. But now, of course... Oh, another one. We still have a pretty nice player, so we can play the Azure Drake. We get a card. And this does cost us 2 cards, but it gets him off the board. So we can play Preparation and then eviscerate this Shield Master. And then deal damage to him. And we have control over the board so far. So yes, I think he could play a Mountain Giant here. He plays Hellfire. That's a good play. Hellfire dealing 3 damage to all characters. And then Mortal Coil, deal 1 damage to a minion. If that kills it, draw a card. So we just play the minion that we have, and we want to dig for the Auctioneer, because eventually we want the Auctioneer to start drawing for all the spells in our hand, so that we can kind of combo off. We don't want to use the conceals yet, and we kind of saving them for the Either for when we get an auctioneer or for when we have a really nice board that we want to protect from silence effects and stuff like that. Sometimes you can play... Oh, that's interesting. So Sylvanas steals one of our minions when she dies. Could be a good time to use sap.
So many options.
Another way to do this well, I was gonna say we can play Conceal, play the SI7 agent, and then play Conceal. I'm not sure. Because then we can ignore the Sylvanas for a turn. Keep the sap. In case there will be taunt minions. I'm not sure about this. Oh fuck. Now I did it wrong. So now I had to play an extra Conceal because I attacked with the Asia Drake too late. So that was bad. And that might just lose us the game. Playing Miracle Rogue and talking at the same time is really hard. I'll try to focus more on the lines of play. Okay, so sort of what I was thinking about. So he's playing a taunt minion that we could sap, and we can deal 5 damage with Eviscerate, 3 more damage with the weapon, and 7 more damage with these. But that's not enough for a kill. Do we do it anyway? I think so. Could play Van Cleef afterwards. There's some problems here. I don't know. I feel like we have to go for it.
Hey, lights out.
Here we go.
So we could lose to a few things here. But if we draw... I guess we already drew our... Oh. That's interesting. Okay. Just healing up, killing off minions. Okay, that's funny. He transforms our minion into a Devil Sar that is able to kill him. This guy that you just played either makes one of our minions a squirrel or a 5/5 dinosaur, and we got a dinosaur. Alright, we got a win. It felt a bit undeserved, but whatever. We don't care. We just want wins, right? Yeah, strange game. When you don't get the auctioneer, games can get really weird. But sometimes you get enough tempo and board presence that you're able to still deal enough damage to win the game, like we did in this game. But it was kind of lucky one there. I could see a lot of ways that could have gone wrong. There's this spell for 4. It kills one of your own minions called Shadow Flame, and then it deals damage equal to that minion's attack to all your opponent's minions. So using that on Sylvanas in that case would clear our entire board, and then Thalnos would of course not win us the game afterwards, which is the card that we drew. So I'm gonna guess again that it's Zoo Warlock, but I'll just keep the Deadly Poison. The other cards are not really useful against Zoo Warlock. And we can't play these. We'll just pass. So if we see a card turn one, we're gonna assume Sue Warlock. And since we don't, we assume that it's handlock. So we just use our hero power and wait. I think some people might be tempted to attack the hero immediately with the dagger. And I think that's correct in some cases, if you're sure about what the matchup is. But I want to save it. So I think we just develop our board a little bit. Yeah, so this is one of the things that the handlock can do. It's funny that I say that handlock is the most that Sulok is the most common one, and then we see so much handlock. But this is one of the handlock things the handlock can do. Play the Ancient Watcher, which is a very cheap big minion, so it can't attack, but you can play cards that give it taunt, and you can also silence it to make it able to attack. But yeah, a common way to use it is to just play another minion that gives it taunt, and then that stops us from attacking the hero directly, and we have to get rid of the Watcher somehow. But anyway, what to do this turn? So playing Leroy Jenkins is something we want to do later. Here, the 2 whelps would actually be good for our opponent. But we could play Fan of Knives and then play Cold Blood on our Farseer. That seems kind of okay. We get to deal 7 damage. He has to get rid of the Farseer. And maybe we make him spend the turn, and then we can play the Aether Drake on our next turn. Life tapping. Okay, so Soulfire is a good way to get rid of these kinds of threats. Spell for 0. But it discards one of your cards, so we're still trading evenly in terms of card count. So now we can play the Aether Drake, and we have the dagger to get rid of Thalnos. Because we don't want to leave the Thalnos on the board, of course. We gotta destroy these windows. Can't let the cathedral leave the game intact, right? Okay, so we're facing Sylvanas again. So... Okay, I should calculate how much damage we can deal this turn. We can deal 2 more with this one. And I can deal 6 with Leroy. So that's 9. Plus 4 from the Drake. That's 13. We can play Preparation to play the Eviscerate for free. So that's 18. And then we've used 5 mana. So we're actually 1 damage away from a kill right now. But since we can't kill in a guaranteed fashion here... Yeah, we can't kill. So we'll remember this time to attack with the Drake and then play Conceal. Because otherwise it loses stealth. So we get the card, and then we just pass, and maybe we have a kill next turn instead. We'll have more mana, we have these 2 minions on the board. But he's making it difficult for us. Because he's playing Defender of Argus, giving both of these minions taunt. So how to get through here? I have an idea. I'm gonna start with playing Shiv here. Then we want to get rid of these minions. But we want to... we want to make sure there's no minion left on the board when we kill the Sylvanas, so he doesn't steal one of our minions. So we kill this one first, then this one, and Sylvanas doesn't get a minion.
Here we go.
Then we can kill the Ancient Watcher. And now we could deal... We can play Leroy, deal 10, then Eviscerate. Okay, that's enough damage. So preparation for the kill. Nice. That's how you want your Miracle Row games to go. Alright, so we completed our quest, so that means I can show you the changes to the Burn Mage in peace. But before I do that, I'm gonna take a quick break. So I will be back in just a minute. Alright, we are back, and someone in chat requested we play Mage, and that is exactly what I intend to do. So let me let me show the deck I call Burn Mage 2.0, because last time I was streaming Hearthstone, I was playing a deck very similar to this, and we were playing two cards that, in a lot of cases, well, we were playing some cards that didn't seem to work as well as we wanted them to. Ended up being liabilities in a few cases. So the first one is Cold Light Oracle, that makes both players draw 2 cards. So the reason we played it is we play this combo with Icelands and Frostbolt in this deck, and the more cards you draw, the bigger your chance of being able to use this combination is. And so the logic was that we can give our opponent some cards, but at the same time we're increasing our own chance of getting the burst damage pieces that we need to finish our opponent off. And that did work in a few games. But we had a problem with often ending up with only having the Icelands, not being able to use it. Another card that we removed was Leroy Jenkins, which, as you just saw, is a great card. But we often find that we drew it when we couldn't play him. I don't think it's a bad include. Maybe you could find room for it. I felt like I had to cut it because there were some cards that I wanted to add that I thought were more important. So the way that I wanted to solve the problem with Icelands was, well, actually not only Icelands, but also this card, Arcane Missiles. So that's a a card that is really useful early game and then kind of loses its value as our opponent is able to fill the board with minions and the arcane missiles can't deal that much damage to the hero anymore, and the minions aren't small enough to actually kill any of them with arcane missiles. So we cut 2 Coldite Oracles and a Leroy, and what we added was 2 Water Elementals and Archmage Antonidas. So first, let me talk about Water Elemental. So that's just a very beefy minion for 4 mana that only Mage can play. And it freezes a character that it damages. So this is a way to make Icelands more usable, because we can freeze something just by attacking it with Water Elemental. Means Icelands is active in more scenarios. It is no longer the case that Icelands can only be deal damage via Frostbolt. So that's good. And the other include Archmage Antonidas says whenever we cast a spell, add a fireball spell to your hand. And this solves the other problem we had with having these cheap spells in our hand that we can't really use at the end of the game. So Archmage Antonidas, if we play him, we can play Icelands and Arcane Missiles, even in cases where they don't do a lot, just to get fireballs into our hand, which is amazing. So in the cases where we're stuck with these cheap spells that we can't use, for anything, we get Antonidas, hopefully, and then we just play the cheap spells and they will be replaced by fireballs that are basically always useful. 6 damage, direct damage is a lot, and of course if they don't get rid of Antonidas, we can just keep hurling fireballs at their face until they die. So that is pretty awesome. Those are the changes for the deck. It seems to make it way more consistent, and it doesn't just rely on getting a quick start and more. You can actually, thanks to Antonidas, convert your early game cards to things that can make you more threatening in the later stages of the game. And so far in the games I've tried, this seems like a really good change. So let's see this deck in action. And I like this deck even more now. It was already one of my favorite decks, but this I love playing Antonidas, and Water Elemental is a cool card. I think Water Elemental also helps a little bit against aggressive decks, because it's just a big beefy minion that trades well with other smaller minions. So it makes it so that it's not as easy for our opponent to get us off the board as it was before. If we're playing against a very aggressive deck and we have a Coldite Oracle, often we don't really want to play it early on because we're just speeding up their attack on us. So now we have something that's is only helping us, is only establishing our own threats, and isn't dead in as many scenarios. All right, so we're playing as Mage. And again, we sort of expect Freeze Mage, but I should mention, I guess, that they reset the rankings, so we're not in Legend anymore, and people are not maybe playing the very most common decks. They just, at this rank, I guess it's mostly what people think is fun. I would say, though, that the base level of play in Hearthstone Classic is pretty high. I think we'll save the mirror image for when we have the Knife Juggler on the board. Right, so here Knife Juggler is tempting. Although the Knife Juggler could just die to a Frostbolt. But that's fine, I guess. Just have to take that risk. And if he doesn't, we can play... Well, this is one way to lose your Knife Juggler too. So it plays Doomsayer. And we can't kill this Doomsayer. We could play a Loot Hoarder and have it die to Doomsayer just to get another card. That seems fine here. Or we could just use the hero power to deal the damage. Maybe that's better. Yeah, because then on turn 5, after we play the Water Elemental, we could have a turn where we play 2 Loot Hoarders, which seems like an okay play. playing a secret. So again, Ice Block is a card, but also I think in Freeze Mage, Ice Barrier that gives him 8 armor when we attack with a minion is common as well. I play the Water Elemental before I play the Loot Orders, just because the Loot Orders can be killed with Fire Blast. So I figure this will end up representing more damage. I think we might have a nice play here with Knife Juggler into Mirror Image, because that could kill off these. And we still have the hero power. Actually, we got both of them without. And yeah, I think Loot Order is right here still. Oh yeah, it's definitely right, because the Knife Juggler it gives 1 more damage then. So coining to play Frost Nova to stop us from attacking. Yeah, that's the case. So here we could still play Water Elemental. So every minion we place deals 1 damage to the hero. I'm gonna assume that this is an Ice Block. We kind of expect a Blizzard to be played on the next turn, and then my question is if we should try to play around Flame Strike. I don't know if every Freeze Mage plays Flame Strike. I think 1 copy is probably normal. So question is if we want to put all the minions that we have on the board, or if we want to try to play around Flame Strike a little bit. I'll just do the risky thing. I don't think Flame Strike is a 2-off in most decks. So I'll just take this risk. So we go for Thalnos, Leper Gnome. We can play Fireball here to threaten triggering the Ice Block on the next turn, I think. Keep the Frostbolt for now. So this, yeah, this is threatening to pop the Ice Block. Some combination of attacking with these. Okay, so there was no Flame Strike. That's good. So we could just save the Frostbolt as well for turn 9. Because then we can use Antonidas with it. And now, okay, so we also have the option to play the Sorcerer's Apprentice. So this other secret is probably Ice Barrier. And so we have seen 1 Frost Nova and 1 Blizzard.
What to do?
So if we play the Sorcerer's Apprentice and the Blizzard is played, we will lose the Sorcerer's Apprentice along with most of our other minions. So the question is if we save it. But I figure we save it to force that play anyway. But we should first attack. Yeah, it is the Ice Barrier. And we chip away. I guess maybe this was kind of autopilot. Maybe playing the Antonidas actually makes sense here. Because I don't think there's a convenient way to get rid of him. Yeah, maybe Doomsayer, but... Huh. Yeah, so if we already had Antonidas on the board, this would be different, I guess. Trying to think if we can get rid of this. I guess we can get rid of the Doomsayer. But it's not in the way that we wanted to. Attacking here. Attacking here. This. Mana Worm. And we can get rid of it this way. But now we spent the Frostbolt without getting a Fireball. So probably playing Antonidas on last turn would have been good. But yeah. It's... Sometimes you make plays just on autopilot. There we have the Blizzard. Right, so he's using most of his gas to get rid of the minions on the board. Alright, so here... So the question is if there is Polymorph in this deck. If there isn't, Antonidas is great play here. So Polymorph can turn a minion into a sheep. But if there isn't that card, it's hard for him to get rid of Antonidas. I guess, well, maybe not, because there's still Fireball in the deck. But Antonidas offers a way here to turn this Arcane Missiles into a Fireball and deals 3 damage at the same time. Oh, it's frustrating. I'll hope for it. It's not ideal. And we deal 1 more damage with the hero power. Yeah, very sad I didn't play him earlier, because there was a good opportunity to do it. Oh, so now... Oh, that's frustrating. Okay, so he's getting rid of our Antonidas with Frostbolt and Ice Lance, but only after playing his own Antonidas. So now he has 2 Fireballs in his hand. And we kind of need to get rid of this Antonidas, I figure. I mean, there is another play. Playing the Arcane Missiles and hoping it hits him 3 times. But that's incredibly unlikely. Is that our best out, though? Because if it does, then we can play Fireball and use Hero Power, and that will trigger the Ice Block. And then we have the threat of just pinging next turn for game. Although if he has Alexstrasza, he'll just get up to 15 life again. And then we'll be totally screwed. So we are in a very, very rough spot now. Okay, let's try our luck this way. So I guess we chose the correct line based on the way.
Let the pain speak to me.
All right. It's probably another ice barrier then. We might want to avoid triggering that, because if we draw a Fireball, we might be able to kill him with direct damage. Yeah, this is tricky. I think I'll avoid triggering the ice barrier for now, because it leaves the option open to just kill with direct damage. There we have the Flame Strike. So it is in the deck. Oh, but he plays a Loot Hoarder instead of... Yeah, I guess because he's not afraid of us attacking with the golem, because that will just trigger the ice barrier. Yeah, interesting. So one thing that's nice is that using Alexstrasza on himself means he can't use Alexstrasza on us. Means he needs a lot more burst damage to get rid of her. To kill us. Although Alexstrasza is still an 8/8 creature that we would have to get rid of at some point.
Greetings, fellows.
Yeah, this is not nice. I think we're just try to get around the ice block. But yeah, Alexstrasza is the problem here. He can always return to 15 health. It's kind of weird though that he hasn't. Well, maybe, yeah, I guess he doesn't need to play Alexstrasza yet. Now there's also actually the risk of him going to fatigue. And fatigue is a way to get around ice block as well. Because fatigue gives him damage on his turn, and that means ice block cannot trigger. So that's a way to get around ice block as well. So he's using the burst damage on us again. We're down to 11. We're very close to death. Yeah. Not looking too hot. Right, so now there's the problem. He's kind of far away from fatigue still. We can make him draw one more card. And then he will draw one. It's still 2 turns away from reaching fatigue. If we play these too early, then Alexstrasza is a problem. There, we get rid of the minion. This lowers the amount of damage we will take. We'll play these. Do we attack? I guess the time decides for us.
Greetings, fellow seekers.
I think we're dead. Yes, he has Pyroblast. Okay, good game. That's well played.
Well played.
Yeah, and I think we could have had this one, but I messed up there, missing a good opportunity to play Antonidas. Because he had to get rid of him with some single target stuff, but if he were to play single target stuff that turn where we could have played Antonidas, then all of the other minions will stay on the board, and he can't deal the splash damage. So we would have gained a lot from playing Antonidas at that time, I think. Would also have been too early for him to just play his own Antonidas and those two spells. So there's a lot of intricacies in these matchups in Classic that you sort of can think about during the game. Classic is kind of chess-like because the card pool is pretty small, so you know a lot of what to expect. And it makes it kind of fun because you can often be pretty detailed in your calculations.
Jaina versus Gul'dan. Your soul shall be mine.
So again, Warlock. A lot of Warlock today. I guess always. I'm still going to assume Sue Warlock, but judging by what we've seen today, it's gonna be Handlock. But I'm gonna mulligan based on thinking it's a Sue Warlock. And it is actually Sue Warlock this time. Oh man, how do we want to do this? So we can make a really risky play where we play Mana Worm and then coin into Arcane Missiles and just hope that Arcane Missiles hits the Flame Imp twice, which is sort of a 50-50. You like risky plays, right? Right? Yeah, let's let's just go for it. Fuck it. Come on. Oh, well, didn't pay off. Immediately punished. Yeah. I don't know. Could be right to be greedy in that situation, because if it succeeds, then the game is basically won. But if we don't, it's kind of the opposite. I mean, we haven't really lost yet, but our chances of losing are way higher. We lost a coin and an Arcane Missiles for basically no reason. So I guess in both cases, it feels like it sort of swings the game very heavily in one direction.
Time runs out on me.
So I feel like these minions will trade. Do we want a Sorcerer's Apprentice for later or a Knife Juggler? I think a Knife Juggler. So we'll play the Sorcerer's Apprentice to trade. So we have the Harvest Golem for next turn. Voidwalker. We might just lose this. Yeah. This is when you know you've lost. It was when you lose a Sorcerer's Apprentice for free. Because of the Knife Juggler hitting it twice.
Put this apple on your head.
And now there's two Knife Jugglers. This is getting really bad. So we're probably dead. Maybe even next turn. We could Frostbolt Direwolf, attack the Voidwalker.
What to do? What to do?
That's not ideal. There's also Fire Blasting the Leper Gnome, Frostbolting a Knife Juggler. Huh. Yeah, that puts us at 13. Take 8 more. Well, we have to try, I suppose. Okay, we're dead. That's enough damage. Doomguard has charge, so he can attack right away. All right, we want we want to try to get a win here. I think, yeah. So the early play was risky, but if it worked, things would look very different. But the way it's shaked out, we lost all of our momentum and could never climb back. But imagine if it went the other way around. We still have a mana worm that we can possibly trade for the knife juggler. We get to play maybe a knife juggler of our own that will stay alive. And then we can play a harvest golem on turn 3 and trigger the knife juggler and so on. So we'll stay on the board. We won't take as much damage, and the game could go either way from that point.
Jaina versus Valera.
Watch your back. You asked for it.
Up against rogue. We want to try to get our cheap minions. Guess we can keep one of the 2 cost minions. So we got one Leperno. That's nice. We have a coin, so we could go turn 1 Leperno, turn 2 Loot Hoarder, and then coin for Water Elemental turn 3. There's also a possibility to coin Mirror Image here to stop this Leper Gnome from being killed by the daggers. But I think it's better to get a Water Elemental out on turn 3. And then we can... Yeah, so it's happening, but I'm gonna stick by that choice.
Mind if I roll me?
Because then on turn 4 we can play another Water Elemental. And those are pretty beefy, hard to get rid of. Farseer to heal a little bit. But again... Water Elemental also trades well with the Farseer. You can get rid of the Farseer and survive. Using Backstab.
This guy's toast.
Alright. So he's still trading 2 cards to get rid of the Elemental. That's okay. And we'll play another one. Now, of course, he's at 5 mana, which is when the Miracle Rogue starts getting crazy. Azure Drake becomes an option, and the Auctioneer becomes an option. But he has already used some of the spells in his hand. So he's playing Azure Drake. Backstab on the Water Elemental. Yeah, again, a decent trade for us. Okay. Kind of don't want to leave this Drake on the board. But getting rid of it is awkward. I have to play a Mana Worm and then Fireball on the Drake. It's not exactly what we want to do. Could also just play the Drake and hope they trade, but that seems a bit too optimistic. So I'll still go for this play. At least it sets up a nice Mana Worm, possibly. He did sacrifice a lot of cards to get on the board, so we're kind of doing the same thing back. Now, in Miracle Rogue, you don't have that many minions that are beefy. You have the Auctioneer and the Asia Drake, and then you can get Van Cleef out sometimes and have him be really big.
This guy's toast.
Okay, so what will it be this turn? So we could play the Knife Juggler and Mirror Image, and maybe Mana Worm too. Hope to hit the SI7 agent twice, and then we could use Fire Blast to finish him off. If that doesn't happen, I think that's still fine. So we got one knife there, that's good. Alright, so it worked out this time. Using Sap on a Mana Worm 2 seems kind of wrong, but maybe he was, I don't know, starred for options. Now there's an Auctioneer. And there's Conceal, which we do not like to see at all. There is a way we could kill this if we are like incredibly lucky, but it's so unlikely that I don't even want to go for it. So we can play the Ace Trick, get a knife from the Juggler, then play Arcane Missiles and get 4 missile shots, but 3 of them have to hit the Auctioneer. That's very unlikely. So one option is to play Arcane Intellect to see more cards. I guess the Asia Drake also lets us see one more card.
What to do? What to do?
Alright, let's go for the Drake. I think we go for the missiles anyway, then. Because it could still lead to this Auctioneer dying if we're super lucky. So it doesn't, but it still gives one more attack to the Mana Worm. We deal the damage to the hero. But unfortunately, now he has the draw from the Auctioneer, so he probably has a way to get rid of our board. And that's very sad. Okay. Still don't see the board wipe, but there's still plenty of mana left for him. He's 6 mana. Ooh. So going for the dagger, Deadly Poison. This could be a Blade Flurry. Deadly Poison. Yeah, so Blade Flurry here would be... Oh, but it isn't Blade Flurry. Could still have preparation. No, he didn't. Okay, so it did not have the splash damage and has to give up. Alright, nice. So we finally got a win with the Burn Mage. Nice. Oh, we got to level 100 and a bunch of gold. Oh shit, now I do not know what happened. Looks like the game completely flipped out after that happened. This is weird. I think I'll just try to restart the game because the UI is not working anymore. Okay, yeah, I'll have to restart the game. That was strange. I haven't seen that happen before. So let's start it again. It was a sick burn. To Coffee's the shit in the chat.
Come on in. Spend an evening by the fire.
All right, so the game is uncrashed, and now I guess I can show this part of the game. So when you get this experience, you can get levels that gives you rewards. I guess we get a nice little hero skin now. So which one do we think is the coolest? We already have this Thrall one. I'm not sure. So I was actually going to show my Shaman deck after this. I do like this Gul'dan, but Mage is probably my favorite class. So let's pick Jaina here. Nice. So we got a new hero skin. And now I want to show another deck. This one is actually, I mean, people have built similar things, but this one is actually one that I kind of brewed myself, just like the Burn Mage. I just call it mid-range, which is a boring name, but it's a mid-range shaman, but there's a lot to it. So it's a shaman deck with a lot of tricks up its sleeve. So it's got some early minions because you want to be able to have some presence on the board early on. So we have Argent Squire that you've seen in a lot of games with Divine Shield. And Abusive Sergeant that can give a +2 attack to a minion this turn. Shaman is a class that has a hero power that lets you summon a random totem, and those totems all have 0 attack and 2 health, and then they have different abilities. So there are 4 different kinds. And what it doesn't say here is that it doesn't summon a totem that you already have on the board. So if you have summoned a lot of them, eventually your odds of getting a particular one increases. So this means you can get free minions on the board, and this combines well with Abusive Sergeant. So he can give another minion +2 attack, and then you can trade a totem that you got for free for a real minion. And Argent Squire also combines well with him. You can give the Argent Squire +3 attack something, and then the Divine Shield is gone, but the Argent Squire stays on the board. Another nice card that can be used for different things is Earthshock. Kills minions early, gets rid of leper gnomes without taking damage. And also, if you're up against the handlock that we played against today... Oh, I misspelled it. Twilight Drake. You can kill this for just 1 mana with Earthshock. Earthshock is a card that silences a minion, then does 1 damage to it. So this would get rid of the extra health on the Twilight Drake and then deal the 1 damage to kill it. So it's pretty nice. Lightning Bolt's pretty versatile. It's just a spell that deals 3 damage, and then it says Overload 1. Overload means that it locks one of your mana crystals for the next turn, so you're sort of setting yourself back on the next turn. Usually means that the effect on the turn that you played is pretty strong. We have Rockbiter Weapon, another one that is used that we can play early that gives one of our characters +3 attack until the end of turn. Thalnos for our damage spells, also really good, very easily replaceable minion. And then another Shaman-specific card, Flame Tongue Totem. So this gives adjacent minions +2 attack, which of course works really well with the totems that we get from a hero power. Now we can give them attack and have them trade with things, just like with Abusive Sergeant. But of course also works well with Argent Squire that I mentioned, and cards like Blood Mage Thalos, very replaceable minions. And again, on this theme with minions that are replaceable, hard to get rid of, if by giving extra attack to those minions that do something when they die, or they don't die when they trade, like Argent Squire, we have Harvest Golem, that when it dies, you summon a golem. So you could play Flame Tongue Totem, give it +2 attack, trade it with something, then get a golem back, and then perhaps that golem, the damage golem, can trade with something else. We have Hex that transforms a minion into a frog with taunt, and this is really useful against big minions, especially ones with really powerful effects like Sylvanas and Kieran Bloodhoof. I guess I can show those cards. So Kieran Bloodhoof has a really powerful Death Rattle effect, but if you transform him, his Death Rattle is gone. So Hex is great for cards like that. Lava Burst is like a bigger Lightning Bolt. We have Lightning Storm. So yeah, 5 damage and overloads 2. Lightning Storm to help us against small minions, but also if we have some extra spell damage from our totem, because there is a totem that can give that from Thalnos or from Azure Drex that are also included in the deck. It can clear bigger minions as well, so this deals 2 to 3 damage to all enemy minions, so great for against decks, especially with a lot of small minions. Mana Tide Totem lets us draw a card at the end of our turn, and another card that uses the fact that we can get minions from our hero power of Defender of Argus that can give adjacent minions +1 health and attack and taunt, so we can set up kind of a shield, and also just trade more favorably. Acer Drake that we've seen before, but obviously it synergizes with all the damage spells here. Kieran Bloodhoof that I just mentioned, kind of the same logic as Harvest Golem, but he's bigger. And then we have Fire Elemental that just deals 3 damage to something. And then we have one of the most beautiful cards. This is another Shaman specific one, Alakir the Windlord, that he has Charge, Divine Shield, Taunt, and Wind Fury. A lot of keywords there. Charge to attack the same turn that you play him. Divine Shield, of course, means the first time he takes damage, he ignores the damage. Taunt, you can't attack through him, and Wind Fury means he can attack twice. So Alakir can be combined both with Rockbiter Weapon, Abusive Sergeant, and Flametongue Totem to get extra attack. So normally if you play him, you can attack with him twice on their hero, and he would deal 6 damage to their hero, which isn't that much. But if you don't use your Rockbiters and Abusive Sergeants early on, you can, for example, play Alakir and 2 Rockbiters on 10 mana and deal 9 damage twice, which will be 18 damage instead. And obviously that is a lot of damage. So combined with the other burst damage we have in the deck, if the game drags on for a while, we get a lot of cards, maybe from Mana Tide Totem, or just because the game has gone on for a while and we save up cards in our hand, then Alakir can become devastating. And also if you already have a Flametongue Totem on the board, you can just place Alakir next to it when you play him, and he's going to deal a lot of damage. You can combine it with Abusive Sergeant again to be like a softer version of Rockbiter Weapon. So this is kind of a finisher card, and he's really good at that role. So let's take this deck for a spin. And what I find about this deck is it's... now I don't know what the hell happened. I guess I opened the wrong thing. We're gonna play Classic. There we go. And the mid-range deck. Yeah, so... against fast decks, we have a lot of cards that we can play early on that let us not die too early. It still happens sometimes, but we have a few ways to get back on the board. And the nice thing is a lot of our cards in the deck are multi-purpose, so they can be useful both against the slow decks and the fast decks. So typically, all the burst damage cards that we have against the slower decks, we'll save them for when we're trying to finish the game. Against the faster decks, we use them to not die early on. And that's kind of a nice theme. And also against the slower decks, we get a lot of time to use our hero power to get totems for free. And that way, we're not committing too much to the board. We're not as vulnerable to board clear cards. And then we just save up a lot of cards in our hand.
There is a simplicity in inevitability. For Doomhammer.
Up against Warrior, Earthshock is not that relevant there. Neither is Rockbiter. Lightning Bolt Harvest Golem is nice. Nice card to get a piece of the board early on. We got the Squire as well. That's good. The perfect counter to the Squire is Armor Smith, so we'll have to see if he gets that. But if not, then I think it's in general a good card. No, so he does play the Armor Smith. So this could attack the Squire twice to kill it. But we do have Abusive Sergeant. So I'm not quite sure here, because we can play the Abusive Sergeant, give the Squire +2 attack, and attack into the Armor Smith. We can also summon a totem and leave the option open to coin this Abusive Sergeant out. We can also coin out the Harvest Golem. Kind of like the idea of coining out this Harvest Golem and saving the option for Abusive Sergeant for next turn. Okay, that's natural. So it just armors up. But yeah, that lets us make the play that I wanted to do. Actually, now we could also just Abusive Sergeant on the Harvest Golem and save our Ardent Squire. I kind of like that. Let's see what totem we get. We get the one that gives plus spell damage. Okay. So we get rid of the Armor Smith, do 1 damage to him. So we've gained control of the board. And it looks like it is a board that is hard to clear. Oh, Inner Rage, that's interesting, because that indicates that he's not playing the normal Control Warrior style. Okay, so there's a Shield Master. And we have 2 different ways we can get rid of it. We can use Lava Burst, we can use Hex. Actually, there's 3. We could also play the Defender of August. Boost these in trade. But that's not a very favorable trade. I'm kind of thinking... Yeah, I'm not sure what with this list that plays Inner Rage plays in terms of minions. But saving the Hex, if it is the minion list I've seen before, then I want to save the Hex for the Gurubashi Berserker, I think. Actually, usually the Gurubashi Berserker is combined with some card that gives extra... that gives a charge. So maybe, which means it will usually trade with something, and that means the Hex is not as good. Because some of the health has already been used, so Hex is not really taking away the full minion's health. But okay, let's summon a totem. We got the Taunt Totem. And chipping away at a warrior's armor is nice. If we can keep him on 0 armor, that means Shield Slam is not as effective. And we're forced out a brawl pretty early on here, which is great. Ooh. Now we have actually a kind of a tough choice. But I think Monetite Totem is correct. Starting to get free cards, because we could play Cairn Bloodhoof, but we're actually in no rush to do so. And getting this Monetite really threatens to give us a big card advantage. We have cards like Hex to deal with big minions. So let's just do this. We get a card. Puts a lot of pressure on him to try to get rid of this totem. Oh, there's 2 brawls in the deck. Well, that's one way to do it. But funnily enough, the totem is the thing that stays alive. Okay. So this turn, yeah, we want to use the hero power a lot to get value out of it. And then we can play a Drake. Oh, interesting. I was thinking it was not the conventional Control Warrior list. But Ragnar sort of makes it seem like that. Anyway. We will of course hex him. Make him a frog. And... play the Defender of Argus. And just keep hitting the face. Keep getting cards. And this looks good. Both of the brawls are gone, so that's not a problem anymore. And this is a board that's very hard to deal with. And playing Grom Hellscream, but without doing direct damage. Typically you want to use Grom as a finisher, so us being able to trade him away early is nice. So now, what do we do? We could play Argus, Flame Tongue Totem. Kind of like that idea.
I wonder.
Totem. Searing Totem.
My shield for Argus. There is little time.
So now I can
Fight.
attack here and here.
Into the breach.
Yeah, and it seems like he has trouble cleaning up this board. It looks next to impossible. I guess Baron Geddon could be a play here. Well, that can't be what he's going for now, because he's only on 6 mana. And Baron Geddon costs 7. Whirlwind, maybe?
Pain, speak to me.
No, he's just using Shield Slam. So first thing we should check is if we have lethal. So on our board we have 8 damage, 8 damage, 12 damage, 13 damage. We can do 3 more with Fire Elemental. So yes, that is lethal. So let's do that. Good game. Yeah, I love the Shaman deck. So we play a little bit more with the Shaman. It's I like a lot that it feels so just flexible, that it has good ways to deal with both aggressive decks and slow decks.
Throw versus Jaina.
You just saw kind of how it deals with slow decks, putting a lot of value on the board, not committing a lot of cards to the board, gaining value over time with totems, mana tied totems, making a board that's hard to get rid of but still didn't cost us a lot to establish. And then we use cards like Hex to get rid of big minions. Okay, so now we're up against Freeze Mage probably. So I think we keep the Earth Shock in case he plays Doomsayer. And Harvest Golem is a nice early minion. We kind of want a minion to play early, but we didn't get one. Now let's get some more water.
Runs out on me.
And yeah, no need to totem this turn, we can pass.
Mind if I roll mead?
I guess that's another target for Earthshock. But it does seem like overkill. Like, do we save the Earthshock or not? I guess we have one more Earthshock and two hexes in the deck, so we have a few ways to deal with Doomsayer. And yeah, let's just get rid of it. And next turn we can play Harvest Golem. And I'm thinking turn after that, turn 4, we can coin out the Azure Drake to put on some more pressure. Fortunately, if we don't get a fast start against Freeze Mage, I think it could be a pretty difficult matchup. Because we don't have any healing. Oh, there we have the Doomsayer actually. So yeah, we immediately wish that we had the Earthshock. We could get rid of it, but it costs us both of the Rock Biter weapons, so I don't think that's worth it. just use the hero power for fun. Attack his hero. So we at least get a golem back. It's not terrible. It's a 1-to-1 trade, and he still needs to get rid of the golem. Ah, just playing an Aesir Drake. Yeah, different options here. So we could play the Aesir Drake. And then if we want to get rid of his Aesir Drake, we can coin, Rockbiter weapon on the damage golem and trade. The other thing we can do is coin, play Fire Elemental, do 3 damage to the Aesir Drake, and then it's probably better. Yeah. We save the Rockbiters for this potential Alakir. For now, at least. And we represent more damage. So this is a high priority target for him to get rid of, maybe? Dealing 6 damage per turn. Mirror image. Okay, so we do have a nice way to clean this up. So I want to Lightning Storm, get rid of the taunt minions, deal at least 2 to this, then we can Rockbiter on our hero and attack it. Which leaves us with 2 more mana, so we can get a totem. Alright. If we got an extra spell damage totem, Lightning Storm might just kill the Aesir Drake straight away. But that's not the case now. So we get rid of it like this instead. And we are happy if he has to use burst damage to get rid of our minions, because that means that burst damage is not available to be used on our hero later on. So in order to limit the amount of draw that this Acolyte will give, I'm just going to play a Flame Tongue, trade this Searing Totem for the Flame Tongue. And we're playing in Harvest Golem. I'm playing it on the left side because our totems appear on the right side. So this way we make it easier for our Flame Tongue totem to give bonus damage to 2 different minions. I think we keep this general idea going. Only giving him 1 card for the Acolytes. Of course, the problem is now he's at 9 mana, so he could Alexstrasza our hero. But he doesn't have Ice Block yet.
Mind if I roll need?
We want to start threatening lethal on some turns, because otherwise he has plenty of time to play Alexstrasza and stuff like that. So we can play Alakir for 12 damage. We don't have to do that this turn though. Play the Drake. And do we play the Mana Tide? It could be nice. Increases the chance that we get an Abusive Sergeant that we can combine with Alakir, I think. So we just play the Mana Tide. Another Blizzard. Yeah, that's fine. I guess we're still not really threatening lethal, so that's a problem. Maybe I could have done that turn more precisely. I don't know. Alakir, you could play Alakir and kill 2 images. So if we buff Alakir's attack to 6 and then 8, Alakir is then dealing 16 damage, which means we're at 1 damage away from lethal. That is sad. Wait, so if we kill this, this is 5. Alakir is 16 plus 5 is 21. That's not enough. It's a problem. That's a problem. How do we do that? We have to get rid of the Alexstrasza, at least. But it's uncomfortable. And I misclicked, so I didn't have time to attack with the Cairn. So that's sucks. So it would have been a 9 then. Now for sure we're threatening lethal. I feel like he should have lethal on us this turn, but he's thinking, so maybe not. Alright, that's probably an ice block, so we are kind of screwed. Play a Mana Tide Totem to get more cards. Play this. One thing you can do to get around freezing is Earth Shocking your own minions. So he's saying well played, so it's probably a game. Yep. That was unfortunate. I guess that wouldn't have made a difference, but we should have paid more attention to trying to threaten lethal to stop Alexstrasza from being played. I don't know if I had an opportunity to do that more, but that is something you have to pay attention to in this matchup. If you're not threatening to deal lethal after an Alexstrasza, you're opening the door for them to just play Alexstrasza and get a lot of free damage with her. I'm gonna take a quick break and then do one more Shaman game, and then we'll see. So I'll be right back. Alright, welcome back. Doing one more game of Shaman, and then I'm not sure. We might just open some packs and see what we get. I haven't shown that on stream before. And for the people who haven't played, that might be interesting just to know how it works, I guess. And maybe we open some nice golden cards that we can put in our deck. Alright, so again, assuming Frost Mage, we're going to keep Earthshock, but not Lightning Storm, as they typically don't have a lot of small minions. And we got a great start this time. We got the cheap minions, so we're able to start dealing damage right away. Makes it easier to start triggering ice blocks earlier. Oh, but yeah, Sorcerer's Apprentice. Okay, now I think it cannot be. We got very lucky. So he plays Sorcerer's Apprentice. She lowers this cost of spells by 1. Play the Arcane Missiles for 3. And then all of the missiles hit our hero. Which is super lucky. But yeah, because now we can just play the Abusive Sergeant on the Ardent Squire and trade. We can also summon a totem. And just coin out the Sergeant. So this is not a freeze mage. They sometimes might play the Sorcerer's Apprentice, but they do not play Arcane Missiles. It doesn't fit in that deck. This is more of a tempo mage, aggro mage, mid-range mage even maybe. Okay, he's playing another Arcane Missiles, hoping to get a better result this time. And he does. Cleans up the board. So the only useful thing we could do is hero power, so let's do that. It's kind of awkward because we have this Defender of Argus to give 2 minions extra stats. But we only have 1 minion. But we did top deck the perfect card, I think. The Flame Tongue Totem. So our plan is to play the Flame Tongue Totem and then kill this mage with it. But first I'm going to use my hero power. And the reason is that lowers the chance of us getting a Searing, or that removes the possibility to get a Searing Totem, because you can't get a totem that you already have. And we would like one of the other ones. So we do this, we play the totem. This might trigger a secret. It does. So this just Mirror Entity is one that copies the minions that we play. So now he has a Flame Tongue Totem as well. But yeah, I think still we just kill the mage. Yeah. We have ways to deal with the totem. Place the mana room too. Okay, now this is interesting. Because I could get a totem. So Lightning Storm deals 2 to 3 damage to his minions. So if we're super lucky, it kills both of them. We can also use our hero power and maybe get the extra spell damage totem. And then if we do, we would be guaranteed to kill both the minions. But is that what we want to do this turn? I mean, he only has 1 card in his hand. So I guess we don't need to get fancy. I'll still do it. Okay, perfect. That's lucky. But so my thinking was that if we use Hex on the Mana Worm, which may seem like the play, then the totem still gives it 2 more attack. So we're not really completely removing the threat. Now, this is highly unusual. This kind of signals to me that maybe this is a guy who recently started playing, so he has access to the base cards. This is not a terrible card, but you only play it if you don't have access to all of the cards. We could just hex this one. Actually, no, we can play the totem and trade off. That's perfect. And we would like to get another taunt totem, so I'm gonna kill off the taunt totem, then use the hero power to hope to get a taunt totem, and then trade here. So we didn't get a taunt totem, but that's fine. Place the shield master. Yeah, now I think we just hex this. We play the mana tide on the left side, get a card. Yeah, and it just concedes. Actually, it's kind of a quick game. Let's do one more Shaman game. So, yeah, I'm having fun with the Shaman deck. The arcane missiles luck for him was not great. But also kind of hard to play that deck against Shaman, because they have a lot of good ways to remove minions. If you try to make a play where you protect your minions by playing Mirror Image, they have Lightning Storm. They also have a single target ways to get rid of Sorcerer's Apprentice, like Lightning Bolt. They have Rock Biter weapon, can get rid of Mana Worm. All right, we have another warrior. So usually these are control decks, and we'll mulligan all of this. They're not cards that we want to be using early on, so this is a little bit better. Harvest Golem is nice early on, especially. We would like a 1-cost minion, but you can't get everything. I mean, we could, but we're just not lucky enough. Yep, we just pass. We can't play anything first turn. Alright, so we could play Thalnos, but I just want to use the hero power and we'll save Thalnos for later. Taunt Totem is nice. Makes it hard for him to control what he attacks. So if he plays a Fiery War Axe, he can't get to one of our important minions before he gets through this thing, which is nice. Now I kind of played Harvest Golem on autopilot. I think it's probably correct to start to chip away at his armor. The other option is to get the Mana Tide into play. But I think we'll do that now instead. So we could also hex this Acolyte of Pain. But it's not ideal, because hex is so useful later on. So I think we'll use Mana Tide to dig for more cards, and we chip away at his hero health with the Harvest Golem. And I was also hesitant to use the Rock Biter weapon on Harvest Golem just to get rid of the Acolyte. This is also very useful later on. Abusive Sergeant is a bit better, because then not only are we trading away the Acolyte, we also have a 2/1 minion for our troubles. So now he has a turn where he could play some cards to deal damage to his own acolyte to get a bunch of cards. But looks like he's not able to. And this taunt minion is stopping him from attacking our other minions to draw cards. You can still play Whirlwind here to get a card. But yeah, that's not the play. Oh, or is it? It is Whirlwind. Okay, so he plays the Armor Smith first, and this gets him some armor. Interesting. Okay, so I could play Thalnos now and Lightning Storm to get rid of both of these. And I kind of like that. Because against Warrior, it's hard to find places where the Lightning Storm is useful. Let's try it. And that means we'll only be at 4 mana on our next turn. But we have Hex to deal with any big minions. And I guess he's on 5 mana, so what can he really play as Warrior? He's the most scary ones are at start coming in at 6 mana. You got Karen Bloodhoof, you got Sylvanas. At 7 you got Baron Geddon. That deals 2 damage to all other characters every turn, so you can kill a lot of small minions. But for now we're fine. Okay, so he plays a weapon. And this is a fine trade. He loses a charge on the weapon, and we're not losing cards in this trade. Okay, so here I think we just put some more damage on him. We can play the Mana Tide as well. So we can get him back to 0 armor, which again is useful to stop Shield Slump from being effective. We get a card here, kind of incentivizing him to get rid of the Mana Tide with his axe. And whatever he plays this turn, I think we have good answers for on our next turn. We can use Flame Tongue to get favorable trade, Abusive Sergeant as well. Oh, he's getting Corcoran Elites instead. That's a nice one here for him. But we have Fire Elemental to get rid of that in a very efficient manner, so we're still pretty fine with that. I think, and yeah, it is good to play Abusive Sergeant here, I think, to put more pressure on him. It makes Brawl better for him here, but if we don't play the Sergeant, he doesn't have much incentive to play Brawl, I think. It's better to make him play the Brawl, I think. Because it gives us an entire turn where we can do whatever we want afterwards. So I'm not that worried about it. Using the shield block to gain armor instantly. And this is something that we cannot prevent. Even if we're chipping away at his armor, we can't stop this. So he just gets the armor, then shield slams immediately. So we just have to accept that. And here we can play the Flame Tongue and getting back to 0 armor. Can get a totem. So if I play the Defender of Argus, then Brawl seems sort of likely. And it would be bad. But I kind of also feel the need to I'm not sure. It's probably good to play around Brawl here and not get too greedy. So let's try that. We're playing around Brawl. Yeah, but this is the problem. Because by not giving them in his taunt, this opens up Fiery War Axe plays. It's not the end of the world, though. Alright. So we still use the hero power, of course. And
Seal for Argus.
I guess we get rid of the armor smith. This does give him 2 armor. And then we're gonna heal that damage with the healing totem. Probably now he plays Brawl, unfortunately. But I guess... No, Baron Geddon instead. Okay. So we're gonna have 2 minions. Yeah, this is fine. We can get rid of him with the Lava Burst. We can play a Harvest Golem. Get rid of Baron Geddon. Keep attacking the hero. And we have this long-term plan of eventually we draw Alakir, and then we have 2 Rock Biter weapons, and that lets us deal 18 damage in 1 turn. So if we get him down to 18 health or less, we can do a kill from there in quick fashion. He still has not played Alexstrasza. Could put us at 15 health. But then he needs a follow-up to deal that last 15 damage. And Grom combined with Cruel Taskmaster is only 12 damage. So if he does that, we could still play Hex on the Alexstrasza, kill it, and attack with our minions, putting him within kill range if we get the Alakir. Okay, he's using Execute on small minions, so he looks like he doesn't have great ways to clear this board. Alright. Asia Drake is a good draw. We're gonna play that. So I think here we Earthshock this Core Crown, because then we can play the Flame Tongue and deal 7 to get rid of his last armor, which removes the ability to Shield Slam one of these. To Shield Slam the Azure Drake. And keeping that alive could be really nice. Also, he has used both his Core Crown Elite, and he has also used 2 Fiery War Axe. So the only way he can get rid of this Flame Tongue totem is by playing Grom. And if he does that, we can Hex the Grom afterwards. Oh, actually, yeah, never mind. I forgot about this possibility. Gore Howl is a good way to do it. That is true. So we'll definitely get the totem this turn. We get a Taunt totem, which kinda means that I should not play Defender of Argus this turn. Because if I do, then he just gives him more attack targets with the Gore Howl. So I'll just attack like this, save the Defender of Argus, I think. And then possibly if he attacks the Stoneclaw next turn, we can totem and then possibly play this to give taunt to maybe the Harvest Golem and something else to keep the Azure Drake alive. And bear in mind also now we're threatening to draw Alakir and win the game on the spot. Which would be a great way to finish this game. So we're praying that this is gonna happen. 11 cards left, one of those is Alakir. This seems like a... Oh, I was gonna say, this seems like a turn where he wants to play Alexstrasza. But he plays Ragnaros, not bad either. But it really depends on what he hits. Hitting our hero might be one of the weakest. Yeah, yeah, that's not good for him, I think. So we get a Searing Totem, and we can give this taunt.
My shield for Argon.
And then we can Hex the Ragnaros, get rid of it, attack his hero. He still has not played Brawl, I guess. So that's annoying. Yeah, looks like he saved it for a good time. We are still threatening to win the game with Alakir. So Azure Drake, I don't know, still no Brawl, so he could not be playing it, or he could be very unlucky. Usually the Control Warriors play at least one Brawl. This is the Control Warrior version with Azure Drake.
Let the pain speak to me.
Okay, so he gets rid of the Searing Totem, and he is at 15 health. So, how much can we deal? 7, 9. We have 9 on the board. We can deal 6 more. Okay, sorry folks, we did not get the dramatic Alakir finish, but we can finish the game this way instead. We just attack with what we have. And that's exactly enough. So we did get the win. That was a nice game, I think. I feel happy about how I played it mostly. And that will be the last game for this stream, but I wanna open some packs on the stream for the first time. So I'm gonna go to the shop. We have enough gold to buy 10 packs. And yeah, because who doesn't love lottery tickets, you know? Don't do it, but who doesn't love it, you know? I can double click this. 10 packs. And, you know, as long as you're not paying real money, it should be harmless, right? Yeah, let's crack these open. So, a pack costs 100 in-game gold. And I'm just looking for the golden cards. I have all of the other ones. All right, so far no golden ones. Still, we want high rarities because they give more dust when we destroy them. There, we got a golden card. Not commonly used, but still. Ooh, nice, we got a legendary. So, of course, we already have Ragnaros, but can turn him into dust and then turn him into another card. Or use him as part of getting into another card. Alright. So, I mean, we've already done pretty well, opening 1 golden and a legendary. The odds of getting a legendary, I think, is something like 1 in 20. Oh, we got another golden. So yeah, and that was a golden rare. So I'm pretty happy so far. All right, we got some good packs. That was satisfying. Yeah, this is how they get you. The addictive process of opening packs with random cards. So we got our first golden Kirin Mage. If we get another one, we have a full playset of them golden. It's not commonly played, but we saw it played today. We also saw it played on last stream, actually. We got... Oh, we were missing one Doomguard because we had turned one of them into a golden one earlier. And then, what was the... There we have the Young Dragonhawk. Now we have 2 golden ones, a full playset, so that's cool. And I guess I can show this part as well. So there's a button here to disenchant extra cards. These are the cards that you already have a full playset of. So usually that means 2 copies. For legendaries, it means 1 copy. If you have any copies beyond that, you can just press this button to make them into dust that you can use to create other cards. So there we go. And you can also, not these cards, some of the cards are uncraftable, the basic ones. But this one, for example, you can disenchant it to turn into dust manually. But that's not what I'm about. I want a full collection, so I'm not going to turn any beyond the extra copies to dust. Anyway, that was it for today's stream. So hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave any questions in the chat. I'll answer them. Yeah, I'll see you next time. These will be somewhat irregular, but they will keep coming. It's going to be a spontaneous, relaxed thing that I do sometimes. So stay tuned for that. And also stay tuned for the next Harry Potter TCG revival stream that will be coming up. I'm actually not sure if there's going to be another round in the tournament or if I'm going to go play the finals right away. But yeah, stay tuned for that. We will see what the organizers decide there. And yeah, stay tuned for the future. I also have planned Netrunner, some retro Yu-Gi-Oh, and some retro WoW TCG. So yeah, see you around and have a good night or good day if it's day where you are. And